Cinemajaw is brought to you by Know Your Company. Have you got 25 to 75 people in your company? Then check out knowyourcompany.com. It's software that helps companies like Airbnb know their company better. And we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on Division Street in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye, the movie guy. And sitting alongside us, as always, is our engineer and local filmmaker, Eliaz Rodriguez.
How's it going, Jawheads?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we concentrate on small casts as we go top 5 favorite small cast movies.
Well, that will be a short discussion.
I love your puns.
Yeah, thank you.
They're usually off and not funny, but that one was decent.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there you go. We are concentrating on small cast movies. And really, this reminded me when we were putting this together, was hidden gem, sci-fi hidden gems.
Okay.
Because you have to be creative when you're doing a sci-fi hidden gem movie. And it sort of carries over in a lot of ways when you're looking at small cast movies.
Did we do sci-fi hidden gems?
We did.
I thought we did horror hidden gems.
And we also did sci-fi hidden gems.
Really?
Oh, no, we didn't call it hidden gems. We did independent sci-fi films, like small budget.
Damn it, I wish I
That's
had
what it
gone that
was.
route, because honestly, this topic was a challenge for me.
Oh, it was.
It was.
Yeah, but again, when you're looking at films that have a small cast, and when we're talking small cast,
Obviously Moon comes, and I'm sure it might be on somebody's list.
Yeah, we're talking a concentration of 5 people or less in a movie, that kind of idea. We didn't put down stringent rules on exactly what constitutes a small
I didn't go
cast.
over 5. Man.
Okay, but all mine are very small cast, 1 to 5 people.
Yeah.
So, but you got to be creative was going to be my point. When you're making these kind of movies and you have a small cast, it's usually in a creative setting. It's something very distinct about the movie, the reason why there is a small cast. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also budget limitations.
Sure. So you do see a lot of independent films, a lot of breakout directors working with small casts early on in their careers.
Agreed.
So get thinking about that, Jawheads, small casts. And we are doing that in honor of the new movie Passengers, which is opening up. And it's a little bit of a cheat. We were going back and forth on what to cover behind the scenes again, discussing topics. And I threw this out there because Passengers is really being billed as Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, 2 people, two-man cast.
Right. Obviously, there's a few other people.
Yes. I noticed on the IMDb page, and we have not seen the movie yet, I noticed on the IMDb page there is quite a big cast. You
Sure.
know. Now, they may be in very small roles. It looks like the bulk of the movie is going to be these 2 leads, Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. So that's
the inspiration.
there it is.
Yeah.
To do small cast movies. Besides that, we got a whole lot more going on.
Oh, yes. As you were talking, we are going eye for an eye on Passengers.
And we have a review of a small independent film you may not have heard of, Rogue One, a Star Wars movie.
Yes,
Star
indeed.
Wars story.
Yes. Me and Matt got a I don't want to call it a sneak peek, but a screening earlier this week.
We got a very early screening, and it was a true honor.
Sure was. So that was a lot of fun. We'll discuss that. As Elias mentioned, we are going eye for an eye on Passengers. What better time than Matt to take Elias back on in trivia in Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence movie trivia?
Well, I hope I can keep my winning streak going.
He keeps going with this.
And I liked it because we got a bunch of new listeners this year, and I'm glad that they heard me at least 3 times sweep you every time.
And you use the same joke with Joe Avella, and you've never beat him.
Well, you know what? There's some people that just can't admit when they've been beaten. Elias and Joe are 2 of those people.
Well,
undefeated.
We'll see.
Undefeated.
I noticed another new movie opening up, which is sort of a head scratcher, in my opinion. Assassin's Creed, which is based on a video game. Have you played any of the Assassin's Creeds?
No, I hear they're good, but I honestly have not.
I have played one. I don't know what it was called, but I played
This is
it.
a rare moment when you've played a video game I haven't.
Right, it's not on your phone, right?
No, yeah, this was on a console. Yeah, I've played video games. Come on.
Do you even own a console?
Well, the last one I had was the Wii, and I don't think it works anymore.
That's not a console.
No?
No.
That doesn't count?
Not at all.
It plays Zelda games.
Okay, all right, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me.
So
and Metroid.
And it does play Assassin's Creed. I forget what it was, but I did play one of them. Not a fan of the series by any means, and I call it a head scratcher because here's Michael Fassbender, one of the great actors working today, and he takes on a video game series Assassin's Creed.
Head scratcher.
Yes, it seems like a fish out of water. And I would say, for my money's worth, he is probably the best actor ever to take on a video game
No.
series. You can actually think of one?
Sure. Better actor to take on a
better
video...
actor? Who?
I mean, we're not saying the better video game series, just a better actor.
Yeah, a better actor that's actually taken on a video game.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Prince of Persia.
Oh, boy. That was a clunker, wasn't it?
Yeah, the movie sucked,
Yeah.
but Jake Gyllenhaal is a better actor than Michael Fassbender.
Let me ponder that there for a second. Boy, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it,
It's a good matchup.
Fassbender.
Right? No.
It's Fassbender.
No, it's Gyllenhaal.
I would actually say Michael Fassbender is the better actor, buddy.
Gyllenhaal.
No, Fassbender.
Gyllenhaal.
CinemaWAR. Ooh, boy. Elias is going to have his hands full there. I think that's a really equal battle. This is going to be a fun one, I think.
I agree. This is an equal matchup.
Interesting. And it is the holiday season, right?
Yeah. You know what, guys? As a matter of fact, I had my office holiday party today. So if my speech is a little slurred, that is why. I actually kept it together and I maintained, didn't have too much.
Did anybody in the company, you don't have to name drop, but did anybody in the company get a little overserved?
Tipsy?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. You know, there were the photocopies of ass cheeks and all that good stuff. I mean, it was an office holiday party, so.
I went out with some coworkers last week, last Friday, and this was more not thrown by the company, so it was really just the coworkers going out on their own, but we all sort of agreed to go out, and there's always that one person, and it was not me, was not myself.
Bullshit.
But there was this one person that, of course, just overserved, and I mean, ridiculous early, you know. I'm talking like 90 minutes into the night, and it's apparent that this person has had too much to drink.
I love that person.
Yeah, and so it's a lot of fun, but I was wondering if anything got rowdy, you know?
Nothing terribly inappropriate, but it was, we're a bunch of bar people, so everybody knows how to drink more or less. But, that being said, it was open bar.
Elias, do you ever get out of the jaw box and go to a holiday Christmas party?
Yes, mine is actually tomorrow, so I'm going to have a lot of fun. And but no, I've never gotten too wacky. And today, actually, we have a very intimate setting. We have it's just talking about small casts, it's just us without editor Phil or a guest. And it's us and our buddy Evan Williams. So
yeah,
maybe.
I love Evan. I'm so glad he could come.
Sipping on some Evan Williams and
he's from Kentucky. If you guys didn't know,
discussion on movies. There's really not much better way to spend a Wednesday evening.
Yeah,
especially when it's 5 degrees outside. It's freezing out there.
Oh, it is nuts here in Chicago.
Yeah, and you mentioned editor Phil. Good luck. He's taking his finals.
Good luck, Phil.
Yeah, there you go. And
hope he didn't spend too much time editing the jaw and not enough time studying.
Yeah, hopefully he passes and graduates college. But one other thing I did want to mention, since we're talking office parties, we here at Cinemajaw should have a party next week. What do you think?
Yeah.
So next Wednesday when we record, let's have a little gathering.
After?
Yeah. Sound like a plan?
Can Evan come?
Yeah, Evan. And we'll have editor Phil.
All right.
Yeah, sound good?
Yeah, as long as Evan's there.
Fantastic.
You and Evan.
Hey, I love me some Evan.
All right, so it is a jam-packed jaw, as always. It brings us to our first segment, Eye for an Eye.
Eye for an Eye, passengers. A spacecraft traveling to a distant colony planet and transporting thousands of people has a malfunction in its sleep chambers. As a result, 2 passengers are awakened 90 years early. The film stars Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. It is directed by Morton Tildum, who has directed 2014's The Imitation Game. We throw it over to Rye.
Wow. It comes at a time, and we're about to review Rogue One, which is part of the Star Wars universe, and it seems like nothing but sequels or tie-ins with comic books or so forth, video games. Always
at the awards season?
No, I'm saying in general. So finally, when you have big budget action, and it reminiscent of when Chris Nolan gave us Inception. It was something that was unique and based on nothing. And I love this idea that Passengers is just that. It's
original.
It's going to be original, and it's not going to be a film that is going to spawn sequels. I don't think, anyways, this is the interpretation I have. It's a one big blockbuster movie, and those are becoming smaller and smaller. How many are there anymore? Seems like maybe one a year. I think Passengers is that. I'm hoping that this is going to be a fun, sort of twisted sci-fi film. It's going to be action-packed. As I mentioned a few jaws ago, I was really happy that Jennifer Lawrence was getting top billing here. Pretty pumped about that. Chris Pratt, 2 big stars. Interested.
A little disappointed it's not Bradley Cooper.
Oh, I would have been disappointed if it was Bradley Cooper.
Really?
They've starred enough together. I hate when people start doing that, latching on to working with one another.
Like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan?
Yeah, they did 3 movies.
And they were great movies.
Yeah, they weren't action movies.
True. I don't know. I like those two together. They have chemistry. That said, I mean, I love me some Chris Pratt. He's great. So, yeah, interested. I think this is the original movie of the season, so can't wait to see it.
I am on board with what Rice said, that this is great that there's going to be a blockbuster movie that is original, especially around this time of year, that's not so artsy or, on top of that. Although that scene in the trailer where they have the fancy bartender from 1950s or whatever, you're telling me they built this entire space station and they spent all this extra money on this one bartender robot that in the trailer they so cheesily show you that he is a robot. Surprise. That I'm done. I'm out. Ignore.
That was the thing that threw you off?
Yeah.
Why?
So you're telling me that
Okay.
if they build a space station with all these people, all the people are supposed to be alive, so they won't need a bartender. They could each other be a bartender or just have a regular robot.
Well, but this is the future. You don't need a bartender. You get a robot.
Then just a regular looking robot.
I'm not going to make my own Evan Williams.
Yeah, but a regular looking robot. Why does it have to be a 1950s or bartender
See,
or
it's
20s?
It's thoughts like this by Elias that make me just hate the guy, because he's got a good point here, and I wasn't even thinking about that. Why would there even be a bar on there if they're supposed to be sleeping and then go colonizing a new planet?
Exactly.
What the hell is the point of having a 1950s bar there? I mean, they're supposed to be asleep. It's a malfunction that they woke up. Maybe it'll be explained in the movie, but it's a good point.
How do you know
Elias.
that they don't have to spend years on the ship before they fall asleep or after they wake up or something like that?
My point is that there'll be a ton of people to socialize with. They don't need a human-looking robot to socialize with.
Hey, it's a mystery, okay?
All right.
You're reading too much into it.
All right. Got it.
But still, ignore from you.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure somebody's probably trying to eat them on that ship or something like that.
I don't know about that.
I bet I jaw that coming if that actually what happens.
I hope it doesn't turn into like a horror
Yeah.
space opera, sort of like Event Horizon or Sunshine.
It looks like it kind of might.
Could.
Something's going to happen. I mean, there's got to be some conflict.
Yeah, there's got to be some
It's not
type
just
of
going to be
twist.
them like
there's no
drinking at the
doubt.
bar the whole time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
what
whole
I would
movie.
be doing.
So that's why they had the bartender.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
he's the
purely a
main
plot
character.
device. Yeah.
2 interesteds, 1 ignore for passengers. Hopefully we get a review next week out there for you guys. Speaking of new movies, the first Star Wars story that does not belong
Yeah, I'm
to...
gonna get going. Sorry.
All right.
All right. Elias is actually leaving the room because he hasn't seen this.
Yes, these guys were fortunate enough to go see. It hasn't been released widely as we're recording this, so I am going to leave because I don't want any spoilers. So,
All right. We'll come get you when we're done.
Super small cast here.
Just leave it rolling.
Wow.
It is, and you guys are locked in. You are professionals, and I trust that you will stay on level. So I'll be back.
We do have whiskey going here, though.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Give me a minute.
Speaking of new movies, Matt, the first Star Wars story that does not belong to the main story arc has finally hit theaters. It feels like the film has been in the news for years, be it reshoots or too dark of tone for a Star Wars film. Matt and I finally sat down to see if the Force is with Rogue One or if it belongs in the trash compactor with the other prequels.
The world is coming undone. Imperial flags reign across the galaxy.
Can you be trusted without your shackles?
Let's just get this over with, shall we?
We've a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know how to destroy it.
If you're really doing this, I want to help.
Good.
Good. I've been recruiting for the rebellion for a long time.
We destroyed our home. I fight the Empire now.
I fear nothing. All is as the Force wills it.
The captain says you are a friend. I will not kill you.
Thanks. There isn't much time. Every day they grow stronger.
Let me start by saying Rogue One is the prequel we always wanted. Director Gareth Edwards puts the war in Star Wars for this installment. We should all know the plot by now. Rogue One takes place right before Episode 4, A New Hope, and explains how the rebels actually stole the Death Star plans that later help Luke Skywalker blow it up with his simple X-Wing fighter. Felicity Jones plays Jyn Erso, daughter of Galen Erso, who has been forced by the Empire to help construct the ultimate weapon in the universe, the Death Star. She is a rogue. When we meet her, she is in prison, clearly running from trouble into more trouble. However, her luck changes when the rebels break her out to request her help in leading them to Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker, which they hope will then in turn lead them to her father, Galen. What we see unfold here, Matt, is a band of rebels willing to sacrifice it all for the greater good, to steal the plans of the Death Star and help give some hope to the Rebel Alliance. The tone of this film is dark, the darkest, I believe, of all Star Wars films to date. We are treated to some amazing battle scenes and some amazing supporting characters. I love Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, the rebel working with Jyn to steal the plans. Ben Mendelsohn as the evil director overseeing the construction of the Death Star for the Empire. And what would a Star Wars movie be without a fun droid? K2SO is a bit different than other droids we have seen. I'm happy for that, but I love the guy. Really, really did. The main accomplishment Rogue One made for me was elevating A New Hope to even higher levels when I have it at just about the highest level already. So what an accomplishment that is. Luke's attack on the Death Star means so much more now. Rogue One was an adult Star Wars film, and I loved it. Matt?
I agree with everything you just said. It is the adult Star Wars film. This is really up there with Empire Strikes Back. There's no Gungans in sight. There's no ridiculous stupidity. There's no fun lines for kids. This is a war movie. I mean, make no bones about it. This is a down, dirty, gritty, violent war movie. There were tones of Full Metal Jacket, or at least Platoon. We got flavors of Vietnam. We have flavors of the war in Iraq from films like Hurt Locker, things like that, and so many other, which I think Edwards deliberately evoked through when they're on the different planets. They show the different warfare, a new side of the Empire we hadn't seen before, and frankly, more importantly, a new side of the rebellion, which we hadn't seen before. The dirty tactics they must have had to use as a rebellion, as the upstart, in order to gain traction in this war. They had to resort to tactics like espionage, sabotage, assassination, things like that. The characters we meet, Cassian Andor, right away, I don't want to spoil anything in this movie because I really think the darker you go into this movie, the better. But right away, the very first scene, let's just say that he will get away from the Empire by whatever means necessary. He does something a hero wouldn't do in the very first scene, and right away I sort of knew that that sort of cemented him as somebody who was temporary, and obviously we know we don't get to see these characters in the subsequent films, so who's going to be there and who's not going to be there is not much of a debate because we kind of know, right?
I agree. Yeah, and I think you touched on something there with where you say he would do anything to not be captured by the Empire. There's a grittiness to the rebels and a grittiness to this movie and this universe created by Edwards here that was created originally by Lucas in the first Star Wars film. It is a little gritty in the beginning. Han Solo, he shot first. Right. The whole argument of did he shoot first? Didn't he shoot first? And the reason why fans are so upset is the fact that it changes the whole complexion of his character. He did shoot first in the first movie. That is something that we're kind of talking about here with Cassian.
There's no doubt Cassian shot first.
Yeah. And they're not going to, no bones about it. You know, he's going to shoot first.
And he shot someone in the back.
Yeah, he's going to shoot first and ask questions later. He's that kind of guy. And that's fine. That's how, when we first met Han Solo, it was that same case.
He's a killer. He's a killer.
Yeah, and a survivor, if you will.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
this guy is in war, and he says at one point in the movie that he's been in this war since he was 6 years old. All right. So imagine this. The movies are called Star Wars, okay? And it's easy to forget with the lightsabers and the flashes and the bangs and all the fun characters and aliens that it's easy to think that these are children's films. This is not a children's film. I mean, it's PG-13, but honest to God, I have a 9-year-old boy that I would have to sort of drag him to this, and I'm not going to try. I don't know if it's appropriate for him, frankly. This is a darker film. If there's any sort of backlash or negative reviews on this, I think it will be strictly on the tone, because it's not going to be about the characters, the acting, or the composition of this movie, because they were all absolutely brilliant. But this is darker than anyone is expecting of a Star Wars movie, and I think that the critics are loving it right now because we want to feel like they're not insulting our intelligence. This movie does not insult our intelligence whatsoever. This is the prequel we always wanted.
Now, one of the reasons I think that I was such a fan of this movie, and it may be, I'm going to see it again. We're recording this right after we have currently seen it, and it's about to come out. I'm going to go see it opening day when it comes out again.
Same.
And with a crowd, because
can't wait.
One of the only thing that I would say was a little bit of a downer of seeing it the way we did is it wasn't a packed theater. It was
sure,
a small crowd to see this film. So it was like, well, I want to see it with a bunch of Star Wars fans. I want to cheer along. But one of the reasons why I think I'm going to put this film so high in my rankings of episodes is the fact that I love episode 4. Now, you are definitely an Empire fan first and foremost when you're ranking them. You love Empire the most.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, I think probably it goes back to having episode 4, A New Hope, on VHS before I had any of the others. And
I get it.
There was that repeat viewing of the very first Star Wars, more so
with all those crappy wipes and dissolves,
but more so of seeing this movie clearly more times than I've ever seen any other movie ever. All the other Star Wars probably combined, I haven't seen as much as I've seen the original Star Wars. And I love the ending. And I love the whole Rebel Alliance attacking the Death Star at the end, and Luke and Vader chasing him down the trench. I already look at that as like, it's not even a movie as much as it's part of like history, like it's part of art history of what we're seeing, that final scene. And to think that this movie and seeing the actions that the Rebels take in Rogue One actually elevates that movie, and what was going on at the end there is what an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, and we should mention, before we went to the screening, we were actually hanging out together at your house, and we actually screened the original Star Wars.
We did.
And I got to tell you guys, if you don't do this, you are doing yourself a disservice.
I agree.
Go ahead and bust out those Blu-rays, VHS, whatever you got.
The original, I told my brother, I didn't want to spoil anything right after seeing it since they hadn't seen it quite yet. And my one thing was, hey, if you have time, watch the original Star Wars, A New Hope, before you go see it, because you'll just have that greater of appreciation for the film.
And honestly, it sort of like puts you in the correct setting,
right,
in the right frame of mind, because the Star Wars films have been all over in this timeline, but this one very much is in the time of A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there are no two Star Wars films that are closer together in chronology. Even the original trilogy are set like 5 to 10 years apart from one another.
Right.
This one literally takes place months before the beginning of A New Hope.
Right. I think I was already excited by the fact of, say, owning this on Blu-ray, and one day just watching those two films back to back, because it literally rolls right into the New Hope, and it's like, oh my God, it's just going to add to A New Hope, and amazing. I think then it becomes this whole idea that they sort of stumble across Luke Skywalker and everything that comes together for the ending of the first Star Wars, just that much more miraculous.
So one of the things you had said to me when we walked away from the theater was you were worried that it was with Rey, that this was going to be another, like, I'm treading delicately here, like another girl power movie, and I don't think it came across as such, right?
Couldn't agree more. I thought for sure that Felicity Jones was going to have this sort of...
She was going to be omnipotent, to be the hero.
Right.
Which is fine, but
we had just seen that with Rey in episode 7. So right away I was like, oh man, is it going to be just a repeat of her being sort of the star? And that isn't quite the case. It's really her and the band of rebels. I mean, it is really a group effort to steal the Death Star plans. She's the focal point, but
it's almost like 12 Angry Men or something.
Yeah, but in no means is she like, above everybody else has special powers or anything in that regards. I loved the fact that it was really this whole group of people that came together, and you know, we're talking some of the side characters too that came together, that were willing to sacrifice it all to see. And again, just to get the plans that could possibly, at that point, possibly blow up the Death Star. You know what I mean? Like they're willing to, on a whim, to give it all up on hopefully something that they...
Well, they all voted no.
Yeah.
So this was like they rebelled against the rebellion to do this, you know?
It was great. There's a lot of nice touches with episode 4. For instance, Red Leader, who is a character that you see when they go into the trenches against the Death Star. They somehow superimposed him and his character into Rogue One in this attack. And it's very brief. I mean, it's nothing major. He's not a major character, but he clearly shows up. If you're familiar with A New Hope and you know this character, I recognized it right away. There's nice touches like that because, again, this timeline is really close to each other. So, of course, there should have been some people that would have been, you know, connected.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, some of the same players, right? I mean, it's, again, I mean, why would it be a different Red Leader?
Right, definitely. Now, there is one character that is CGI'd without going in and giving that completely
this is
away.
where I was just going to go. Go ahead.
We don't want to give it completely away, but there is one main character that is CGI'd that I think if anybody or what people are going to have a gripe with, especially fans of the series, are going to come out with the CGI character. And that's where my gripe would be also. Just didn't work. It wasn't.
Should we do our standard questions here?
It wouldn't. Yeah, we're going to do them in a second.
Right.
It just didn't work. That would be my main gripe, would be that particular character. They went for it too much, and they didn't need to.
Well, yeah. And I'll just say this without giving too much away. He's not alone. There's more than one thing that they really went for with the CGI acting. And yeah, you know what? We're just not there, guys. I appreciate the effort. Like you know what? They went for it. Mm-hmm. They just said, should we just show them in silhouette? Should we just do reflections? And they were like, hell no, this is Star Wars. We're going to go for it. And I respect that decision. That being said, it was distracting. It didn't work completely. Mm-hmm. And that is the one flaw in the otherwise flawless movie.
Yeah, and it should be noted too, and we can talk about this, is there are some separations from this movie compared to the traditional Star Wars films. The opening is different. There's also the fact that there's no crawl. They actually put the name of planets and systems and moons on the screen like they do to identify where they're at. That never happens in Star Wars movies, but that did throughout Rogue One. So there were a little bit, you know, hey, this is a Star Wars story, but it's a little bit different than normal story arc. I think...
Did you miss the crawl?
I think it was good that they did not do the crawl. I thought about this afterwards. What would have the crawl necessarily been? Because this movie is actually the crawl from Episode 4. And when you first read that crawl in the very original Star Wars, it is basically describing this movie, that the rebels, you know, stole the plans of the Death Star. It was during a battle, blah, 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 and, you know, so on and so forth. So that crawl is actually this movie. What, are you going to have a crawl of a crawl? No. No crawl. I like the no crawl.
I like the no crawl.
Yeah.
It was bold.
It was. And I think it separated it right off the bat within 30 seconds to a minute. When you realize that it wasn't, you're like, oh, this is going to be a little bit different than a normal Star Wars movie.
It did still open with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I think they all have to.
I agree.
Well, because it all is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So that's just the setting. And then after that, it was a little bit different.
So awesome.
One other thing before we get to our questions, the music in the film. I thought they did a brilliant job of actually sort of arching the two. Now I'm talking episode 3 of the prequels, which had this beautiful love theme in there. There was some nice music in the prequels by John Williams. I know we poo-poo on the prequels a lot. One of the highlights really is the music of John Williams. Some of his best work out of the entire Star Wars series does take place in the prequels.
Sequels have their moments.
Prequels. You're saying sequels.
Prequels.
Right. You know what I mean.
Take it as you will.
And there was always this sort of love theme. And I noticed they sort of blended a little bit of that love theme, at least that feeling of it. It was definitely some companionship theme, if you will, combined with the normal Star Wars theme that we had saw in episode 4. And this would be sort of in between 3 and 4. I thought they bridged that music together. It was a highlight for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, always in the Star Wars movies, the music is top notch.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They pull out all the stops.
All right, so we go with these standard questions, Matt. Your favorite scene in Rogue One? What do you got?
The entire third act. It's really tough to nail down one particular scene. I will just say that from about, basically the last 30 minutes of the film are absolutely nonstop action. It was one of the best aerial to ground battle cut-betweens I've ever seen.
Star Wars probably, as a series as a whole, does it the best. I mean, Lucas was great at it as well, doing lightsaber duels with space duels, with ground duels, and this one just puts it on
even
steroids.
Yeah, steroids. Can you point to even like one of the original Star Wars movies that had done it better than this one?
Yeah, I mean, the space battle in Rogue One may be the best space battle in the Star Wars series. And that is
I would just
high
say
grounds.
two spaceships crash, and I don't want to give anything away. Spectacular.
Loved it. My favorite scene does take place in the third act. I did try to narrow it down, Matt, and I mentioned the droid K2SO.
Yeah.
And the scene that I highlight here is K2SO fighting off the stormtroopers while Jin and Cassian are trying to actually steal the file and the plans.
They're climbing a data tower.
Yeah. And all this is going on, and he's literally more or less by himself trying to give them as much time as possible to get to these plans. I just adored this entire scene. I mean, I was into the scene. I was emotional about the scene. Everything there worked for me. And and again, it felt like we were seeing history. Like, I'm bad at words on this one when I say it seems like we're seeing history, but it's like the first Star Wars to me is like it always really did happen to me. I think because I saw it at such a young age. So again, that magic of that moment where they were stealing the plans and they were actually going for...
We're witnessing a moment that really happened in history.
You know what I mean? It's
I do.
I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm witnessing something that I've always wondered how this happened, and this is how it happened, and this droid's fighting them off, and
they didn't do it crappy.
And they didn't do it crappy. It lived up to everything that I ever wanted. I was an emotional wreck. I loved it.
Oh, and there's a moment with the droid that is absolutely heavy, and he definitely convinced us to feel for him.
There is trouble with scenes.
Also, by the way, he was probably the funniest character in the movie. Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Okay.
Yeah, can I just say his name?
Yep. Yeah.
It's
the
not
same
a spoiler
as
at this point. Yeah, if there's any trouble in this movie, unfortunately, it's this digital character, and it's not terrible. It really isn't. In the screening that I was in, when he finally turns around and reveals himself to the camera, this was the moment when I can just hear the producer in my mind saying, "Fuck it, we're just gonna go for it. Just go for it. This is Star Wars. We're going for it." And it wasn't there. It's just not there. It's like that Final Fantasy film, a little bit of Tron Legacy.
Yeah, a little bit of, I remember, not nearly, it's much better than when Matrix Revolutions came out and they decided to make like Neo, a computer-generated Neo when he was fighting millions of Agent Smiths. And I go back and I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, that's awful. It just looks terrible.
But at least he didn't have dialogue in that scene. It was just action. He was acting.
It was.
Yeah, and it's also, I believe, the first time, at least in a very major motion picture, where a deceased actor has been completely recreated as a digital puppet, if you will, which is disconcerting in a way. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, I get it for Star Wars because there's history here, but I think they could have gotten away with just showing him in profile, just showing him in the reflections, maybe not making him such a big character. Unfortunately, I don't think the technology is completely there, and that is the one thing that detracts from an otherwise amazing movie.
No doubt. You just talking about that reminds me of the wonderful film The Congress.
Sure, yeah. With
Robin Wright.
Yeah.
And how she had gave away her digital rights to be created in whatever movie she wanted to be.
Which this guy must have been. And what's his name? The actor who played Grand Moff Tarkin.
We'll look it up.
Yeah. Throw it in the jaw box.
Throw it in the jaw box. All right. How about some movie influences, Matt?
I mean, here's the obvious. Star Wars. But if I had to pick a couple extras, I would say Platoon and Hurt Locker.
Good. I was going war movie also. And I was thinking of a war movie where there is a plan involved during a major war. I went Valkyrie, where Tom Cruise is trying to assassinate Hitler, and you got this sort of, rogue mission that are trying to sneak in, much like the rebels are trying to sneak in to steal the plans while this huge war is raging. I don't know, but it definitely felt war-esque, more so than a Star Wars movie. It felt like a war movie.
It did. It really was.
Yeah.
It's a war movie.
No doubt. If you had to sum up Rogue One in one word, what do you got?
Warific. I made up my own new word.
That's a new word, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up. I believe that's a new word.
It is. Warific.
I went very simple. Dark. Dark film. This is a dark Star Wars film.
Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it again. Let's assign some grades here. Matt, what do you got?
Oh, this is a 4-jaw movie.
4 Jaws?
Yeah, it's 4 Jaws. Come on.
It's tough. I would say I have a more difficult time grading the Star Wars movies than I do any other
Just go
films.
with your gut, man.
3.5 Jaws for Rogue One.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Why?
Again, some of the special effects that we mentioned, them going for it, I wish they wouldn't have. And I don't know, it's just probably the very beginning, early parts when we first meet Jin, and like the lead up just seemed a little bit too
long, drawn out.
Yeah.
I feel you. But wait, there's something that happens right at the end of this film. Again, I'm really, really trying not to give anything away.
Oh, it leaves you on a high note like you wouldn't believe. I walked out on my tippy toes. I was like, super excited.
Let's just say something that happens with a character we are somewhat familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Very familiar with even. Wow.
That was awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, but we were
what?
Yeah, I don't know. You were just breathing heavy.
Yeah, breathing heavy.
Yeah. There was something we were sort of waiting for, and at this point we're like, is this even going to happen? I had kind of given up hope. Like, it's not going to happen. We got what we were going to get, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this sort of payoff. Oh, it was almost like a horror movie, right? There's this moment of true terror.
Yeah.
Holy crap, was that not a great payoff?
Awesome. Wow.
One of the best I've ever seen from this particular character.
Yeah. And then it just rolls into a moment of hope and ends with such a high note that it's pretty like exciting. In fact, like you said, you were at my house watching episode 4 before we went to the screening. Afterwards, I watched it again. Not the whole movie, but I watched the whole Assault on the Death Star again. The beginning and the Assault on the Death Star again.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I want to watch it again.
Love
tonight.
it. So 4 Jaws from Matt K for Rogue One. Rye the Movie Guy, 3.5 Jaws. Both very big fans of this one. I'm sure you've seen it. Please shoot us a tweet. Share your thoughts on Rogue One at CinemaJaw. We will retweet it. We'll reply to it. We'll get the discussion going because we love our Star Wars. Very big cast in Star Wars.
Big cast.
Yes. But
Jimmy Smith's in there,
yes, too. But our topic of this week, in honor of Passengers, is small cast, our top 5 favorite small cast movies. Matt, and you're getting us started.
All right. At number 5, I have a movie which has a very small cast. Only a few players, mostly teenagers, The Blair Witch Project. I talk about it too much, right?
You do. You talk about it too much, and 2, you give it too much praise.
I give it too much praise?
Yeah.
This is a moment in film history, man. Why don't you give it more praise?
I praise the marketing of it, but I've only seen it one time. I've only watched it one time. I think once you've seen The Blair Witch Project, it's not a film that you want to go back and watch multiple times.
That's the thing.
That's why I'm saying
you know what? They accomplished something in movies, in cinema, that has never been accomplished since, and it had never been accomplished prior to The Blair Witch. You went, you saw this movie, and it was an event. And
There's
after
been
that,
event films after that.
True, but not to this caliber, not at this scale. You went and you saw this thing. You didn't know what you were watching. Was it real? Was it fake? The marketing, absolutely brilliant. But moreover, like, you saw this and you left the theater not exactly knowing what was going on. And maybe the time was right. There was not much internet going on at the time. It was very nascent, at least. And then I don't think it can be replicated. This was a time capsule of a film.
I do agree with that. It was the right time and the right place. Right at the moment where marketing could go almost viral, even though it still wasn't necessarily Facebook and everything. It was just before that. But it was
way before that.
It was definitely, I remember the marketing being the key moment of talking about the Blair Witch.
Speaking of Star Wars, it was 1999, the same year as Phantom Menace.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Ties it in.
It does tie it in. You left the movie, an event, and yes, you got this on home video and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? But when you saw it in the theater, that was it. It was a piece of art that had to exist in the theater.
And I'll never see it
in the
again.
moment.
Sweet. Swings it over to my number
You're
5,
a
Matt.
neophyte.
And what's this, Matt? I have a tie at number 5. A tie.
I
Two
don't like
films,
these ties.
but they really are so similar and definitely deal with the same topic. So I thought, might as well list them both.
I guess.
Both very small casts. First one came out this year, 2016. Really, the only star of the film is Blake Lively. There are a few other actors. I'm speaking of The Shallows.
Really?
Yeah. You have not yet seen it, so I
haven't.
don't know why you're so stunned by this.
Because
but
your review wasn't all that favorable.
yeah, I gave it a pretty solid review. It's a very fun movie for a very small cast. When you're talking small cast movies, a shark movie where a girl goes out surfing and is really by herself against the shark, that's
Just
pretty
to
much
eat,
it.
Just to eat sea spiders, but she wouldn't have been that hungry.
Exactly, which really drives me nuts. But as far as an entertaining shark movie, this was one of the better ones in recent times because it's been a while since there was a good shark movie. And that is the plot in my movie that I have a tie. 2003, Open Water.
Yeah.
2 characters mainly. It does have some extras in there, but it's basically about 2 characters who go scuba diving. And this was...
What a piece of shit.
No, I mean, again, this comes down to exactly the limitations of what they had for a movie. I mean, you're looking at a very independent film. Again, almost...
Does it really come down to the limitations?
Almost the found footage of the Blair Witch. Like, how else can we create...
Oh, don't you even go there.
Oh, my God. You jerk. Listen,
no, you're a jerk. This is horrible.
Listen, I'm not comparing the two. I'm saying that it probably...
You just did.
I'm saying it got inspiration from the Blair Witch, right? So it was in that vein of like, hey, let's come up with a survival film with 2 people in the water that get left behind, and sharks start swimming around them, and the horrors that would create. The movie is only an hour and 20 minutes long, so it's a very short film. It's right to the point.
Felt like it was 4 hours and 20 minutes.
And I mean, for 2 people swimming around the water, that's really pretty much the entire movie. It's pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting are not 2 words I would use to describe this. I remember this movie. I went on a date night with my wife to go see it, and we both left the theater looking at each other saying, what the hell?
Yeah.
That was total crapper.
Yeah. She was probably like, boy, I wasted a lot of money buying us these tickets.
Yeah. Not funny. And well, you're saying my wife sprung. She probably did.
Yeah, more than likely.
More than likely. Not scary, not... nothing.
All right. Well, I liked Open Water, and I liked The Shallows. I'm telling you, The Shallows is well made.
Well, based on your Open Water recommendation, I will avoid The Shallows as well. At number 4, I have 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I like this one more than you, and it's not on my list.
Now, there's a small cast movie. Just came out, 2016, very fresh, and my
John
God.
Goodman was great in there.
Oh, the whole cast. And you know what? I want to pull up the cast here because they're all Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, John Goodman, John Gallagher Jr., and you know what? That's pretty much it. There's a few other extras that pop up here and there, but it's really those 3 people in this
confined
bunker.
space in the bunker, and it works. It totally works.
Awesome. It could really be a stage performance. It played out like a play. Love this movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. You should.
Yeah, like that pick. Swings it over to my number 4, 2014 for me. Solid actor Tom Hardy decided to take on a one-man role in a film. It is entitled Locke. And I think a lot of people have at least heard of this movie or caught up with it. And this is where Tom Hardy plays a construction manager who drives off the job. So at the very beginning, we meet him coming off a construction job. There are a few extras at that point, at which point Locke, the character he plays, gets in his car and starts to drive to see a woman who is about to give birth. The entire movie takes place in his car during his drive to the hospital. And all it is him on the car phone. So you constantly have other actors, voice actors, calling in his son, his wife, he is married, and the woman in the hospital who he's going to see. And what unfolds is this mess that he has in his life. And, it's the parallel of him being this construction manager and talking about how you got to mix the concrete. Double overs, obviously, as sort of how you mix things up in your life and so forth, and the construction of your life and what's important and the choices you make. Very solid. Great acting for being in a confined space of your car. Amazing cinematography. They got the great lights reflecting off the windshield. There's some really cool shots in Locke. Big fan.
This is one I need to catch up with. So that brings us to my number 3. And at number 3, I have a movie from 1948.
What?
Directed by the great
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Rope.
Yeah, Rope.
Nice pick. Honorable mention of mine.
I love Alfred Hitchcock in general. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just love Rope. One of these movies, and I think it was a very worthy experiment of Alfred Hitchcock. It's shot pretty much in one take.
At least that's the illusion that he's giving you.
Right. No doubt he had to stop the camera at some point, especially back then with the limitations of rolling actual film through a lens. But wow, Rope is just a good movie. Jimmy Stewart,
spectacular.
Oh
yeah, and I've seen this movie recently. That's why I know for a fact that
he cut.
I mean, there's definitely times where he transitions through a dark area, and you can tell that's okay. That was a cut. But still, going back at the time when he tried to pull this off is miraculous. And of course, this all takes place in an apartment where there's a dead body in a chest, and only Hitchcock can give you that sort of suspense. Are they going to get caught? What all happened here?
Right, and they're trying to get caught in a way, or they're trying to like sort of hold up their perfect crime to the light and see if it's transparent.
Yeah, this is one of the great Hitchcocks. It's up there. It's not like his top
5, I'd say.
Yeah, probably top 10, at least top 10. And another small.
How many did he make?
Another small cast one that I don't think that's going to pop up. You don't have another Hitchcock on your list.
I don't.
And one that I have not seen, but I've been dying to see is Lifeboat, where it's just a small cast on a small rowboat. That's all really I know about it. I want to catch up with that one as well.
Rear Window's probably pretty small cast as well.
Yeah, I wonder.
Another Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, when I think about it, I haven't seen that one in a while. That's one of my favorites too. Swings it over to my number 3, and this is one the whole Jaw team was a huge fan of. Came out in 2015. I wonder if it's on your list, but I don't think most people think of this film and think small cast. Ex Machina.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great pick, dude.
And really, when you think about it, it's 3 characters, right? You have Oscar Isaac, Alicia Vikander, and Gylenhaal Gleeson, who that's really it. I mean, there is another character who plays another robot in the film, but for the most part, this movie is a 3-character film. Yet because I think the sci-fi and the ideas of the film, you don't necessarily think of it as a small cast movie at all. But yet it is. It's really carried by 3 actors the entire time.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'd say don't downplay the 4th actor. She's actually amazing.
Yeah.
She is awesome in there as well. Yeah. Throw in the Jaw box who
it's
it
an
is.
important character,
yeah,
too.
throw who that actress is in the Jaw box, because I didn't write her down. But I mean, I've seen it now 3 times, and I just love this film. I adore it. I love so many aspects of the movie. The music, the cinematography, the acting's great, and again, the idea. And one of the things that I talked about on the Jaw, and I've watched it now, like I said, a couple of times since we've talked about it, is that final shot in the film where I think the way she turns around, I think she's going back for him. It always leaves me with hope at the end, because I think she saw the shadows of people walking hand in hand, and that couples and being together is the pursuit of happiness.
Oh wow, that's amazing that you've read into that so much.
I don't know. That's the way I see it.
Rye is a hopeful guy.
I am.
Yes,
I'm an optimistic Matt.
Yeah, good for you, man.
But yeah, you're right. It was a small cast, but it had such a grandiose idea of that this could be the first AI and change the world.
Yeah, love it.
Agreed.
That was my number 3, Matt.
Still pissed off. Like, why didn't he just build in a kill switch? But anyway, my number 2.
That was the whole point. Go on.
What?
I think the point he wanted her to. I still think that. I still think that he wanted to give life to the first AI.
But he didn't want to die, right? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, what else was he doing with his life? He was just like a madman.
Yeah,
I guess. But I mean, just like building a kill switch. Come on. He's brilliant. He's like anticipating everybody's moves. He's got all these security measures all throughout his house.
He's never going to kill the first AI.
Why not? He killed all the others.
No, it was too important to him.
Bullshit. All right. My number 2, right? Castaway. The year 2000. What a year. And Tom Hanks was at his prime. This pretty much is the Tom Hanks story, the Tom Hanks show, if you will. It's really just him in the whole movie and a volleyball. And that's about it. he makes it interesting for 2 hours. I guess I could watch Tom Hanks do just about anything for 2 hours and be very interested.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fantastic actor. I think this is a really good story. And Castaway is my number 2 pick.
Yeah, there are some other actors in there. Obviously, Helen Hunt plays his wife, who we see sort of at the beginning and the end, sort of bookends the film.
Yeah, but really, no.
No, but I mean, for the bulk of the movie, I do give you, it is really Tom Hanks and Wilson. And I always say how amazed I am that I'm choked up when he loses Wilson at sea.
We
It's
all
amazing.
were. Yeah. Robert Zemeckis is directing, and he's the ghost character.
Like it. That's good pick at number 2. Mine could be predictable. I think if you listen to the show quite a bit, you know what a fan I am of Richard Linklater's Before trilogy and the first 2 films, Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, with really Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. All they do is basically walk around European cities talking about life, their fears, stuff that makes them happy, their dreams, things that you would like to talk about with someone that you're falling in love with, that you're enjoying your conversation and your life with, you know? And I think that's what's so pleasurable about watching these 2 actors, is that it's so real, and there's a connection that they have together that you hope to have with someone, that you'd want to walk around and just talk about things. And there's really not much else to it. There's no other main actors in these movies. In the third one, Before Midnight, there is much more of a dinner scene. There's other people involved. But really the first 2 is 2 actors walking around with a camera following them, and it's riveting stuff. And people love these movies.
Are they going to do more?
I sure hope so.
I think they are, right?
Yeah. We got to get Richard Linklater on the show.
All right. That brings us to our number 1s. At number 1, I have a movie that came out in 2014, I want to say. Maybe 15. Gravity.
It's 2013.
No way.
Also my number 1.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it 2013?
2013.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Time goes too quick.
I know.
That's insane. Anyway, very small cast, right? George Clooney and obviously the great Sandra Bullock, one of your favorite actresses. And I think this is probably, there's no probably about it, this is her best role.
For sure. I mean, I don't know. She won the Academy Award for The Blind Side, which was, as I've stated on here, one of the biggest jokes in Oscar history. But she really actually did deserve it for Gravity. I don't like Sandra Bullock, and I love her in this role. She's phenomenal. And really, it's almost her movie, more just her. You could say, yeah, Clooney's in it, but for how long? 20 minutes?
He's a supporting actor, a supporting character. He pops up, but yeah, 20 minutes. He's not. He's sort of an emotional anchor.
And again, when we were just talking about Ex Machina and talking about how these grand ideas of things and this humongous idea of a film, it doesn't feel like a small cast. Same with Gravity. Wow. When you think about it, has there ever been a bigger budget film with all the special effects that Gravity had when you're talking about really a 2-person cast? I don't think it's ever been done before. Usually, I mean, Castaway's pretty big, but it's nowhere near the scale of Gravity was.
Well,
Gravity was amazing special effects, and it really is a 2-cast person.
That was the third character, was the special effects. And the camera movement, really, I mean, this was quite an experiment they had with cinematography.
Oh, no doubt.
So
it's amazing. And still one of probably my favorite or top 3 3D movies.
You own it on 3D, right?
I do, and it looks gorgeous.
Do you watch it in 3D?
Yeah.
Dude, I got to come over.
It's so good. It's really excellent. I always talk about, like, there's that scene where Sandra Bullock cries and her teardrop ends up like floating into my like living room. It's so cool. The special effects in that movie is just phenomenal. And of course the scene where she's in the fetal position and the themes of rebirth throughout and faith, and I don't know, I just love the entire movie.
This is one I really want to revisit.
So great. That was also my number 1. I did have some honorable mentions, Matt. Rope, you mentioned. Buried with Ryan Reynolds, where he is buried alive.
Sure.
And the entire film is him trying to get out of there. Coherence, one of my favorite independent sci-fi films where there's a third dimension to open, and it's really just a dinner party of about 5 guests.
Sure.
All is Lost with Robert Redford. Literally 100% Robert Redford, only actor in the entire movie from start to finish, and he's on a boat. And he says all of 2 words the entire movie. It's a lot of grunting and just going with Robert Redford, and somehow he pulls it off. And last but not least, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is based on a stage play where it's basically a 4-man show where it's a younger couple comes back and with the professor and Virginia Woolf, and love it. Yeah.
My only honorable was Paranormal Activity. I think it was good. Small cast, two actors, and at the time, it definitely launched an entire film genre, right? With the found footage. I mean, I guess you could say Blair Witch did that, but Paranormal Activity sort of did it with a new twist.
Sure. Would you say Reservoir Dogs, small cast, or is it a little bit too large?
That one's questionable, but
that's right on that teetering.
It is
of what we
teetering.
were looking for. Yeah,
doesn't feel like a small cast.
Sure doesn't. But again, got a lot out of what he had out of those actors.
He did.
Sure did. I'm sure we missed somebody's out there, and they're yelling. They're either in their car, they're out walking, who knows what, but they're yelling because we missed their favorite movie with the small cast.
Walking their dog.
Who knows? So if you think you have a suggestion and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. We will retweet it and get the discussion going. What we're going to do is take a quick break. When we come back, we have a CinemaWAR looking at who is the better actor to ever take on a video game adaptation, plus trivia. Matt Kay, it always gets heated. Matt Kay against Eliaz in Jennifer Lawrence, Chris Pratt movie trivia. We'll be right back on CinemaJaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves.
CinemaJaw is brought to you by. Hey, Rye.
Yeah.
I got a package in the mail today.
Ooh, tell me what it is.
It's the K&N air filter, dude.
There it is.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited to put this in my car. We're going to get better performance.
And not only that, look at this. I'm putting on a K&N air filter hat.
Oh, man, that is spiffy. You just look fantastic in that.
Hey, let's give one to Eliaz.
Oh, thank you, guys. I feel like I'm performing better now with this hat on.
Yeah, well, you could use some better performance. Hey, guys, if you want your own K&N air filter hat and a filter for your car, which is going to make everything better, go to knfilters.com/podcast. You can buy yourself a filter, and they throw in the hat for free. And we thank them for their support.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back on CinemaJaw. Matt, I know we reviewed Rogue One. One question I did have for you was, are you worried, any concerns at all that the Star Wars universe is going to get a little watered down with more and more movies coming out?
I am worried about this. We're going to get a Star Wars movie every year now. And I can't help but wonder, because part of the allure of the Star Wars movies was how long it took to get them. They felt very special because we had to wait, well, at least 3 years with the prequel trilogy, right? Which was somewhat disappointing every 3 years, but regardless, like, we kept hoping that they would get better.
Not to mention 30 years before the prequels came out.
Yeah.
You know, that long time in between.
Didn't even know if that was going to happen. And then from the prequels to the modern age, what was that, like 10 at least? How long?
Yeah.
When did the prequels end? In 2000?
Yeah, they ended around 2005.
Yeah, so a good long time before the new one started up, at least 10 years, I guess. And so now every year, I'm worried.
I am too. I was watching, it was one of the documentaries on Star Wars, like the whole saga, as I was gearing up for Rogue One. And one of the things that the talking head who was in this documentary came on and said was that the first three were so special because they were like the biggest movies of all time, and they didn't exploit it any further than that was the story arc, and they were just left alone for so long. It took literally years and years before we got the prequels. So I think there was something magical about it only being those three films. It added to sort of the myth of Star Wars. And then you got the prequels. It was all a big event, and then nothing again. And now, as you're saying, every year we're going to have a Star Wars film. Right now, I'm still on cloud nine, really excited to see these movies. But next year, the year after, I never wanted to end that feeling that I still have now for Rogue One, that I'm excited because it's a Star Wars movie where I think I'm probably only away, 2 years away from starting to feel like, well, it's another Star Wars movie. I'm excited for it, but I've come down a couple notches from it being a Star Wars movie.
How often can they go to the same well again? I mean, like, we were so excited to see Darth Vader in this film. I'm not giving anything away. He's in the trailer. But what are they going to do in the next one, which is slated to be the Han Solo story? I mean, like, we know, who's going to be in it. Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to, and that's going to get stretched thin really fast.
Could I jump in here? Could I get out of the job box really quick?
Yeah, please.
So you guys are talking. It sounds like you might be preparing yourself for some comic book fatigue, as we've all experienced, some more than others.
But at least,
but my point
modified.
is, what I'm going to say is that it's easier to be fatigued with comic book movies because these are the main characters. You already established Batman and Superman and all those the Marvel characters, and you really can't go anywhere from there. You can't create a new character and have it be as loved as Batman or Superman. But I feel like with the Star Wars universe, you can create new characters and have them loved, just like we saw last year with Finn and Rey and Poe.
Yeah. And BB-8.
See, yes, exactly. So I feel like it's going to be harder to have that fatigue.
Well, I hope you're right, dude. But at least comic books are sort of built serialized. I mean, that is the whole conceit with comics.
That's another thing, though. It's you started off with the origin stories for every single character, so that got tired, and then they're not going to really die because they're superheroes and they're the main people. They're the Iron Mans and all that stuff. So again, with Star Wars characters, that can happen.
True. Yeah.
True.
Good
Words
point.
of wisdom.
Yeah. Good point.
Sorry, I'll get back in the job box.
Yeah, get back in there.
Yeah, no more words of wisdom.
Well, we need them back in there because I was just about to say, Matt, before we get to trivia, before we get to CinemaWAR, we did throw a few items into the job box.
We did.
And I know Elias wants to get out there and just yap for yapping's sake. Heck, let's open up that job box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
What's in the box?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, it's been a long time.
I haven't seen this ass in a while.
Going? I'm excited for our holiday party.
Yeah, me
next
too.
week.
Next week, yeah.
I got the tinsel going, which is just barbed wire that I've put up around the job
You're
box.
going to be the guy. You're going to be the guy who sits down on the photocopier and photocopies his butt cheeks.
Yes, yes, definitely. Can I take a shower before I do that? Am I allowed
please,
to?
Please do. I don't want to wipe off the...
And I know we always talk about we have Instagram and Twitter. Next week, Wednesday, we will be shooting out Instagrams and Twitters from the Cinemajaw Christmas party.
As long as it's not from the Cinemajaw copy machine.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, we have two questions here. It was the first one was who played Grand Moff Tarkin in the original Star Wars? That was Peter Cushing.
Cushing, yeah. Couldn't think of his name when we were talking about it, but totally, yeah, Peter Cushing.
Yes. And then the second one was who was the actress who played Kyoko in Ex Machina, and that was Sonoya Mizuno. And surprisingly, she is in La La Land.
Oh.
I think she might be one of the roommates, if I have to guess.
Yeah, that would probably be my guess.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, that is. And by the way, Jawheads, after you see Rogue One, go see La La Land this weekend or the next weekend.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go see it. I'm just going to, we reviewed it on the show, but I'm actually pumped to see it a second time in the theater.
Yes,
I really am.
Definitely. And like I said, I'm jaded with a lot of films, but that is definitely one I would love to see again, too. So might do a double feature this weekend.
You should.
Yeah, but that's all for the questions, although we do have some feedback.
Feedback.
We love feedback.
Do it.
So this is from Felisa Acevedo. She said, "Hello, gentlemen. I want to let you know how much I love your show. I have only started listening earlier this year when Chuck Bryant, Stuff You Should Know, mentioned your show. I decided to check you out and over time have developed such a fondness for the format of the podcast as well as the movie conversation. Like other listeners, you have brought so much happiness to my life. I listen while I'm walking my dog or cleaning the kitchen. You make the mundane even less so, and I thank you, Rye, Matt, and Elias so much for that. Keep on jawing about the movies. Writing from Montgomery, Alabama."
All right.
I love to hear those nice ones.
Alabama.
Thank you so much for writing in. I love that someone's listening to us down in Montgomery. How nice.
Me too.
Down
Shout
in
out
Alabama.
to Montgomery.
Like it. Also, Matt, via Twitter, Ben Young chimed in. This was in regards to our last episode out on the Death Star. He said, "Guys, excited to hear what you think of the new Star Wars film, but FYI, guys, Botan spies die for the second Death Star plans, not the first."
Oh, the
Tisk,
Bothans.
tisk.
The Bothans.
The Bothans.
Yes.
And Matt, you kept harping about the Bothans. You wanted to know how many died. And this actually hit us right after we saw Rogue One. You said, they didn't mention anything about the Bothans. How do you say it? Bothans?
Yeah, Bothans.
And I said, you know what? I think now that you say that, that's in the third one, and it sort of hit us at that point as well.
Yeah.
That it's actually in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, the Empire, come on, guys. Get some better plans and, hey, let's build another Death Star. You know, and the Bothans stole the plans again. Again. What are the odds?
Unreal.
I actually know Ben Young. Thanks for that. Thanks for calling them out. Awesome filmmaker from Indiana.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Listening to us here on Cinemajaw.
Thanks, Ben.
Pretty exciting.
But you're right. You're right. It was not A New Hope.
No doubt. Matt, all right, finally. We talked. Unbelievable. Michael Fassbender is taking on a video game adaptation in Assassin's Creed. I can't believe it.
Now I'm just thinking about Rogue 2, right? It's going to be the Bothans.
Nope. There's no Bothans in Rogue One.
No. In Rogue 2, there will be.
All right, leave it alone. Elias, tell the Jawheads at home what today's CinemaWAR topic is.
Today's CinemaWAR topic, which actor who has starred in a video game adaptation is better? Jake Gyllenhaal or Michael Fassbender? Matt, you'll be fighting for Gyllenhaal, right? You'll be fighting for Fassbender. Let this manly CinemaWAR begin.
How tall is Jake Gyllenhaal? Podcast listeners will know that this is a mystery. But we do know he is taller than Rye the Movie Guy. And he's a better actor than Michael Magneto Fassbender. It's a real shame, Rye, that none of his films will stand out as much as cultural touch points, such as Donnie Darko or Brokeback Mountain. Yeah, maybe he should do a video game movie or something.
Matt, besides having a bigger penis, Michael Fassbender has the better acting chops.
How do you know that? How do you know?
It's known in the industry.
Oh, is
here.
it? Okay.
Yeah, he's shown it on screen, Matt. He has the better acting chops. Now, this is a difficult war to fight, but comparing the two careers, you see that Fassbender's roles are more critically acclaimed. Hunger, Shame, where he was naked, 12 Years a Slave, A Dangerous Method, all brilliant, all starring Michael Fassbender.
I don't think they're more critically acclaimed. In fact, Jake Gyllenhaal has a better range than Fassbender, who seems only to play himself in every movie he's in. Jake, meanwhile, plays a detective in the amazing Zodiac, a gay cowboy in Brokeback Mountain, and an agent, sort of, in Source Code. And most recently, he's a scorned lover in Nocturnal Animals. Rye, Fassbender is a great X-Man, but he is not the better actor.
All right. How dare you bring up Nocturnal Animals after you've trashed it on the show? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but even though I trashed it, Jake Gyllenhaal, I said his performance was amazing.
All right, but how could you, Matt, take Gyllenhaal in this fight? What superhero film has he been in? Fassbender is fantastic as Magneto in the X-Men franchise. Plus, his range is superior to Gyllenhaal's. In fact, what movie has Gyllenhaal played anything other than whiny Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh,
That's
man.
all he is, and all the ones you just mentioned.
I got to point out first, Prince of Persia is the one misstep in an otherwise shining filmography. Meanwhile, Fassbender's is highly suspect, mostly misses with hits sprinkled in. Gyllenhaal chooses better projects. Proof, no Prince of Persia 2. Fassbender, meanwhile, doing another Aliens movie along with Assassin's Creed.
When I heard Fassbender was cast as Steve Jobs, I laughed. I could not see it. But he did what great actors do. He morphed into the role. Watching that film, Matt, I was convinced I was watching Steve Jobs with a large penis. And I was not the only one convinced. He was nominated. He was erected for an Academy Award for it. A nomination, that is.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Ashton Kutcher did it better. One of these guys, between Gyllenhaal and Fassbender, one of these guys has been nominated for an Academy Award, and the other one has not. So I'm not alone here. This is not just my opinion. Jake is the better actor, hands down.
What I love about Fassbender is he can be in large-scale projects like the X-Men movies or A Robot in Prometheus, but he also continues to take risks as an actor, such as his role in Frank, where he played a singer that never took off his large papier-mâché mask. He is one of the best actors working today, and he has a large filmography to prove it.
That's you're hanging your hat on this guy's dick.
Filmography. Where were you going? I was going filmography. Wow, we are button heads here on CinemaWAR as we do each and every week. We throw it to our guest.
I wish I could quit you.
Elias Rodriguez.
I was going to say the pitch was right down the center. Rye got the wood on the ball and almost hit a grand slam, and he really made me laugh and made us all laugh. But for once, I'm going to give it to Matt.
Oh! Yeah!
Because if it is based on the dynamic acting, which is a lot of this conversation was, I would lean with Jake also. So Jake Gylenhaal is dynamic.
Thank you. That earns you 20 seconds of jaw time to rant and rave on whatever the hell you want.
You know what? Here's I'm going to sacrifice my 20 seconds in honor of the jaw. Let's just go right to the next segment. I'm very, is that terrible?
Yeah, you know what it is? That means AKA Matt didn't prepare anything and he doesn't know what else to say. So I'll use his 20 seconds. Because,
Go ahead.
Because you know what? I see so many movies that we don't review on the jaw that I want to bring a light to. So I'll use this quick 20 seconds to say, go see Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld. A wonderful film, coming-of-age movie. That's one of the more honest coming-of-age movies, not blown out of proportion. Excellent acting. Hope she gets recognized here at the end of the year.
I'm so glad I deferred to Rye
there you
on
go.
This one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, he didn't prepare because he didn't think I was going to give him the win.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. He never does.
All right. Things get heated here. So, Matt, put your phone away, you cheater.
Put it away.
Matt versus Elias, always a good contest here. In honor of the movie Passengers, we are playing Jennifer Lawrence, Chris Pratt movie trivia. Elias, you're our guest and engineer. You could choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. There is a rescue. If you need it, rescue me, Ryan.
You know what? In honor of Rogue One, I'm going to go first.
There you go. Question 1 over to Elias. Jennifer Lawrence has worked with David O. Russell a few times, the last time being 2015 when she played a woman who invented the miracle mop. Name the film.
Joy.
1-0, Elias. Matt probably would not have got that.
I would not have.
Dang.
Question 2 over to Matt. Of course, Jennifer Lawrence starred as Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games movie. Who played President Snow in all 3 films?
That was Donald Sutherland.
1-1. Question 3 now bounces over to Elias. Chris Pratt starred in Jurassic World in 2015 as Owen, but what actress starred alongside him as Claire, the woman with a nephew and niece visiting her?
And she can run in heels like no other. Bryce Dallas Howard. Did I need the full name for that one?
We needed a full name. Okay. Yes, and you nailed it. 2-1, Elias. Matt, try to keep up here. Question 4. In 2001, Jennifer Lawrence had a small role in this Jodie Foster directed film that starred Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson. Name it.
The Beaver.
One more time.
Is it just Beaver? The Beaver.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
The Beaver.
Because you sounded like so sick.
The Beaver.
Yeah, I mean, it's just disgusting, isn't it?
Make that a ringtone.
Yeah.
The Beaver.
All right. Question number 5 now over to Elias.
Boy.
It is 2-2. Elias, Chris Pratt had a small supporting role in the 2013 film Her, which starred Joaquin Phoenix. Who wrote and directed that film?
Oh, Spike Jonze.
Huh.
Wow, everybody perfect. Holy cow. You guys know your passengers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
3-2, Elias, and you can tie it up here, Matt, on question 6. Chris Pratt starred alongside Vince Vaughn in this 2013 comedy about a guy who fathered over 500 children. Name it.
Father of the Year.
Whoa.
That is absolutely 100% incorrect. Elias, you got a chance for a steal and to blow it wide open here. You're up 3-2.
And what question number is this?
This is 6. Chris Pratt, Vince Vaughn.
If it's Dad of the Year, I'm going to slap you.
In this 2013 comedy about a guy who fathered over 500 children.
I have
the movie.
no idea. And I was thinking about using my rescue because then Matt can't steal it from me, but I will go with Dad of the Year. Well,
Thank God.
We were looking for Delivery Man. Delivery Man. Yeah. All right. Still 3-2, Elias. Now question
That was a stinker.
7.
Who was in that?
That was Vince Vaughn and Chris Pratt.
Okay.
Question 7 is over to Elias, and he's up 3-2. The same year Jennifer Lawrence won Best Actress Oscar 2012, she starred in this horror film where Elizabeth Shue played her mom. Name it.
Oh, man. Question 7. I will have a Rescue Me, Ryan.
Whoa! Question number 7. Ryan, what was the name of that Jennifer Lawrence, Elizabeth Shue horror
I
film?
love when you ask yourself questions.
And your clue is Cottage on the Road.
Who is the actresses?
Jennifer Lawrence and Elizabeth Shue played her mom, 2012.
Cottage on the Road.
It was a horror film.
I mean, Cottage. So it wasn't Cabin in the Woods, was it? Hold on a second. Because on the road was the opposite of a road. Matt's not gonna help me here. See, now at this point, I don't think I'm gonna fully get it, so I don't want to give clues to Matt. So
You're winning 3-2.
Man, I am on purpose not gonna say anything close because I don't want to give Matt some hints. Cabin in the Woods.
Wow, Matt, chance for a steal. Jennifer Lawrence, Elizabeth Shue played her mom, 2012, a horror film, and the clue was Cottage on the Road. You know your horror.
I do. I don't know this one. Was it House on the Street? House. I'm close.
Very close. A little bit more. Need an exact.
Last House on the Street.
Need an exact.
How close am I?
Super close. Same thing, just rephrased.
Same thing, just rephrased?
Yeah, or else I'm going to end this question.
House at the end of the street.
He was close enough. He was close enough. I really felt he was close enough.
I pretty much had the same idea of house and street, but I didn't want to.
House at the end of the street. I actually sat through that movie. What a junker.
Yeah. Sounds like a junker.
Yeah. All right. Matt has tied it up.
Oh, yeah.
3-3. Last question of the game now is
Oh,
to Matt K.
And I have my rescue.
Lame.
All right. Last question of the game over to Matt K. Matt, you can win it here.
Oh.
Way back in 2008, Chris Pratt had a small role as a co-worker in this film that starred James McAvoy, Angelina Jolie, and Morgan Freeman. Name it.
Rescue Me, Ryan.
Whoa! Rescue Me, Ryan. What was the name of that Chris Pratt 2008 film? And your clue is based on a graphic novel.
Based on a graphic novel. Read the original question one more time. 2008.
Chris Pratt, small role in this film that starred James McAvoy, Angelina Jolie, and Morgan Freeman. Name it.
Based on a graphic novel. 2008. Is it that? What was the one? Oh man, it started with a P.
Need an answer here? Gonna buzz you.
Persepolis.
That is incorrect.
No, I wasn't on the right vein.
James McAvoy, Angelina Jolie, Morgan Freeman, Chris Pratt had a small role in it. 2008, based on a graphic novel.
Graphic novel. I feel like that would narrow it down significantly, right? You're sure it's not just a novel?
No, it's a graphic novel.
All
If
right.
anything, it's a comic book / graphic novel, but it's a good enough
I
clue.
know.
Oh, thank the Lord that Matt knows now, but not when he had a chance. I have no idea. Thinking about famous novels or graphic novels.
The comic book thing gave it away.
Is it a comic or a graphic novel? It's a graphic novel. Okay, I'm right.
Angelina Jolie. Oh my Lord. It's coming to me. Salt?
Wanted.
Wanted. It was Wanted.
Did she have some sort of film like who
She
is
had Salt.
Yeah,
Yeah, she had Assault. But she
Wanted.
also had Wanted. Yeah.
Man.
Wow.
More of a comic than a graphic novel.
Yeah. This one ends 3-3. It comes down to a jawbreaker. Usually I joke here, and it was just going to be better acting chops. Lawrence or Pratt? Who would you say?
Lawrence.
Yeah, I'd give it to her too. Yeah, I'm kidding with that. All right, here it is. Since this one's
boy.
serious, 3-3. Age of Elizabeth Shue, closest to
Wow.
Elias. We're going you
Wow.
first. Age of Elizabeth Shue.
Man, I have no frame of reference here, so
You know who she is?
yeah, so I do. I
Okay.
definitely know. She was in Zack and Miri, Make a Porno, right? The Kevin Smith movie.
I
That's a
don't
weird
believe
pull,
so.
I know.
Is she?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Throw that in
Let
the
me
jaw box.
just search on IMDb right now, if you
Yeah.
don't mind. And like look at her page very closely. Look for years.
Yeah, you're thinking of Elizabeth Banks.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Shue was in Adventures in
Babysitting and
oh
Karate
my
Kid.
Lord,
All
yeah.
right. I want to
Oh.
make sure I steer them the right way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
I am.
I thought so. Yeah.
I
okay.
am. Yes. She's amazing. She's like one of my young crushes. So Elizabeth Shue. Wow. So she's got to be up there, huh?
Need an answer here.
I will say 47.
I'm locking him in at 47. Matt?
I will go the big 5-0. Wow. She's 50.
Matt, 50. Elias, 47. The game on the line. It's the moment of truth. It's all on the line. And Matt's a winner.
No! Yes!
53 for Elizabeth Shue. 53.
Dang, I was going to go high. Dang it.
Yeah. Wow. Matt's first win ever over Elias, at least in a very long time.
That's my Christmas present to
There
you.
was a handshake.
Thank you.
There was a handshake. I do
Yes.
want to point out to the Jawheads. That was somewhat of a handshake. but yeah. Well done, guys.
Thank
a lot
you.
of fun. Always
Yes.
fun when you guys
Always.
take each other on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always an intense battle.
Good times. Brings us to the end of a great Jaw.
How about it?
Ah, love it. Love talking Star Wars with you, man.
Oh, could
Good
go on
times.
for hours.
Yeah. But we got to thank everybody here. We got to thank our sponsors.
Thanks to all the sponsors and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get those sponsors.
We also got to thank the best engineer in the biz, Elias Rodriguez.
Thank you, guys.
If you like this episode of CinemaJaw, subscribe to us on iTunes. If you do, please, please, please leave us a review. Those reviews really do help attract new listeners.
Yes, go to facebook.com/cinemajaw and give us a like, and also write us some feedback at feedback@cinemajaw.com.
And I'm always posting new pictures on Instagram. Check us out there as well. We are at CinemaJaw on Instagram.
Yeah, we had some fun ones on the Death Star, didn't we?
We did, yes.
We sure did.
Some more coming up.
We're also on Twitter. Heck, we are at CinemaJaw everywhere on social media. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt K,
And keep on jawing about the movies.